We're sponsored by Manscaped. Prize your girlfriend and show her how hairless your dick could be. I know what that is. I know what that is. Presentation matters. Shave your balls and your crack while you're at it. I've been using this so long. It's only about right that we went back into business with Manscaped again. Meet the new face, among other parts, of Manscaped. Cristiano Ronaldo is really pushing hard for this move away. Man United privately acknowledged that they would be difficult and potentially disruptive to Erik ten Hag's plans to keep an unhappy Ronaldo. Quoted here by Fabrizio Romano, Jorge Mendes is planning new contacts with many European clubs, including Chelsea and Bayern Munich, with Atletico Madrid seriously interested but needing to sell players. Atletico Madrid set up a move for Ronaldo, but are trying to offload Antoine Griezmann first, according to Duncan Castles. Now, Manchester United's summer has been good by the standards of recent years. The new regime, the Richard Arnolds, of course, the Andy O'Boyles, Erik ten Hag and his team are absolutely trying their best to ensure Man United start this season off as perfectly as possible. But legacy problems from the Woodward era are still overlapping. Man United have 2 or 3 other signings they want to get. They also want to sell other players on. But a bottleneck is being created because of this Cristiano Ronaldo situation, because of the wage cut that he is getting, because the club took his assurances in January that he would stay irrespective of Champions League football. Those mistakes from the previous regime are now starting to damage the preparations ever so slightly in some people's eyes and some massively of Erik ten Hag. It's becoming a circus that needs to be resolved and needs to be resolved quickly. Now, there are flaws into getting things done quickly that could cost you more money in the long term. So what should Manchester United do? Play the long game, allow Ronaldo to find a new club, or cut this situation in the bud? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings, people, because this circus and the Woodward era has got to come to an end. Sometimes it's really important to remember to not blame the people that are in charge now for other people's mistakes in the past. Legacy issues, as an example. And I learned this working in the banking industry. I joined quite literally like a month or two before I joined the banking industry, only a handful of months before the global financial crisis hit. And I remember being wet beyond the ears, new to the situation, and people having a go at me. I remember sitting there thinking, I don't even know what they're talking about. I didn't know about the situations. Some of the products that were being claimed back for, they started selling before I was born. It was a madness, right? And you learn as you get older and more mature, people are just taking things out on you. And I've always tried my best to maintain that level of energy, that feeling I got through being blamed, shouted at. And we even had staff members, cashiers on £13,000 a year being spat at by the general public because of what a handful of very rich, wealthy bankers had done. So I always try my best to not blame the people in charge now for legacy mistakes made by others. And that's what Man United are suffering from right now. Cristiano Ronaldo has so much power. Cristiano Ronaldo is working hard to get his move away. And we know this. But as this claim here states, and it's absolutely true, Man United are now privately acknowledging that it would be difficult and potentially disruptive to ten Hag's plans to keep an unhappy Ronaldo. And barring a situation that we're unaware of, Ronaldo is doing everything in his power to not play for Manchester United again. He can't start the season. He hasn't kicked a ball. He has no idea how Ten Hag's going to play football. As in, he hasn't run through the patterns, the systems, the drills. The league starts for Man United 2 weeks today. And our star striker on £500,000 a week, that is reduced down to around £300,000 a week, hasn't kicked a ball yet. Now, I've always said all along, I understand Ronaldo's reasons for wanting to leave, but it's getting to a point where something's got to be done. A decision has to be made. And I'll tell you as to why. Man United have a number of other players they want to buy and sell. Eric Bailly is wanted by Jose Mourinho and Roma for around 10 to 15 million pounds. Man United are in talks with the Dutch right back Denzel Dumfries. There's talk about AWB leaving. There's interest in a number of our players. Now, Man United need to sell before we buy. But who we buy changes if Ronaldo stays or leaves. And what I mean by that is the money that we're going to spend. If Ronaldo stays, we have less money. Therefore, prices for players will potentially be cheaper. But if you pick up a £20 million fee, plus you're saving 20 odd million pound in wages, clubs are going to demand more money from you because they know you've got it. This is where the legacy problems are created. Man United also don't want to get to a situation where they're like desperate to move players on. There was always a concerted effort to wait, check some people out in pre-season, and then look to move them on. That's why yesterday you saw a lot of the young players being linked to clubs like Hannibal going out on loan, Bay leaving, AWB leaving, and much more. It was always going to be after the pre-season period. But the Ronaldo situation is creating a blocker. The Ronaldo situation is holding everything up. Man United are struggling to move forward with this situation circulating. There's been talks, of course, with Anthony's camp. Man United have looked at a number of other players. Dybala was an individual that they were looking at maybe replacing him. He has now himself gone to Roma. So the market is thinning out and a decision needs to be made. But more importantly than players in and players out, it's the authority element here. Man United have been very lenient with Ronaldo. Man United have been very, very cautious to not try and create a public problem. But we're now getting to a situation where they've got to sit down with Ronaldo and say, listen, you either decide to stay or Mendes, you get him a move away so we can all move on from this circus. This circus that's been created by the Glazers, this circus that was created by Ed Woodward, and 9 years of mediocrity, poor signings, overpaying of players, and essentially not having your house in order. It's hard to get rid of a lot of the players on our books because they're on such high wages. And they're not of the standard for clubs to want to pay them 100 grand, 150 grand, 200 grand a week. That's problem number one. Secondly, Ronaldo told the club back in January that he would stay, irrespective of Champions League football. He's now changed his mind. Well, I don't think he changed his mind. I think he just spun him a line. I'm not too sure why. But the club always make these mistakes. We always did. We always made these mistakes consistently. We take the wrong advice. We listen to the wrong people. We wouldn't go with our gut. Man United should have started work on removing Cristiano Ronaldo 5-6 months ago. We're going to be building for the future. Removing Ronaldo isn't the issue. And as I say, my problem here is more that it's just becoming farcical now. I was cool and relaxed a month ago. I'm not even panicking. I'm just annoyed at the situation. There needs to be a deadline set. There needs to be a line in the sand drawn. Authority needs to be given to the manager. Now, I know Ronaldo is bigger than Eric Ten Hag in the game of football, but that should matter not. Now, on the Ronaldo situation, it's interesting. They're going to go back to Bayern Munich. They're going to go back to Chelsea. They're speaking to Ati. The player has stated he is willing to take a pay cut to leave, which is, by the way, it proved what I believe was always the case, that it was never about anything other than Champions League football for him and wanting to leave, and I totally respect that. Hopefully a deal can be struck. I'm at a point now where I don't care if he goes to a Premier League rival. Couldn't care less. I want him out the club. Not because I hate Ronaldo. He's been brilliant for us. You know, he's a legend of Man United, but he's got to go. The club has then got to push on with 2 or 3 more exits and bringing in 2 or 3 more players. The team has looked relatively good over pre-season. The team has been developed well. You can see the style of play. It's going to be a tough season. Lots of trials and tribulations. But what needs to happen here is a marker needs to be laid. A marker needs to be laid down by Man United, by Eric Ten Hag, by the board. That player power doesn't exist. We'll help you leave. But there comes a point where we will take control. And if you stay, you have to stay and give 100%. There has to be a fallout, a problem, if you indeed stay and you misbehave. That can't be tolerated by the football club. But we've got to get that decision right. If Ronaldo has to stay, he has to be 100% dedicated. He can't be throwing his toys out the pram. If not, we have to help find a solution. And in doing that, of course, United still needs to keep work on the players coming in, the replacement for him. the midfielder, the attacker still needed. It would be brilliant to be able to add a right wing back into this situation as well. If you could bring in a Dumfries, if you could bring in De Jong, if you could bring in Anthony, plus with Lissandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, and Malacia, it's a very productive summer for Manchester United. But the circus has got to stop. The circus has absolutely got to stop at this football club. And as I've said, I'm not angry at anyone running the club right now in terms of the Richard Arnolds, Andy O'Boyle, John Myrtles. This isn't really on them. This is the previous regime. And I'm just starting to get concerned, and I'm just starting to get worried about it spilling over into the beginning of the season. That's my key here. I ain't spinning this into a positive because I can't. I'm going to always tell you how I feel. And the fact I was relaxed 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and I'm not relaxed now is because I'm seeing the same recycled nonsense. Nobody seems to want Ronaldo, even at a pay cut. So the club has got to be strong and make a big, big decision. That's backing Ten Hag. We'll see what happens, though, people. Listen, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on this. When will the circus end? When will the Woodward era be over at Manchester United? Hit the like button, subscribe to the Football Terrace, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.